Venezuela, Greenland, Iran. I mean, oh my God, there's so many stories to talk about. I'm so excited to be back to BuenoBrew. This is my channel. Welcome to my channel. You know, I haven't posted in a long time. I've been pretty busy, but I'm so excited to be back. I want to talk a little bit about Venezuela here, but I also want to give you a quick update. Again, if you're new to this channel, which you probably are, my name is Jesse. I was just recently accepted back into medical school. I'll be going into 5th semester starting in May at UMHS. Me and my wife are gonna be heading up to Maine, and we are super excited about that. But I was going through my stuff, going through my, YouTube channels and all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? There's just so much to talk about. I just want to jump back on here and start talking about finance, start talking about world events, start really getting back into it. Cause I'm just so excited about it. I've always talked about it. And I'm like, you know what? I got busy before. I had to, kind of take a step back from YouTube, but now I'm back and I just want to, do my best to try and be consistent, provide some value, and, provide some of my thoughts on these world events. I'm so excited about some of these things and so interested about, the current status of things, but also the future, right? The future investments and what can happen. So before I jump too much into it, I guess one of the things I want to talk about is Venezuela. Venezuela, we all know what happened recently with Maduro being taken out and brought to the US. They had a certain type of, politics going on down there, first with Chavez and then with him. And, the people in Venezuela, in my opinion, they deserve a lot better. And I'm just so excited that there's a lot of potential, in Venezuela. And one of the most important parts of it is this, interesting component about Venezuela, about the oil, but also about the natural beauty of Venezuela. I don't know if you know this, but Venezuela, there's certain parts of Venezuela that are absolutely beautiful. They got beautiful beaches. They got incredible, rainforests. The Amazon actually, I think is, in the southern part of it. They have like the tallest, waterfall. Incredible, nice people, really cool culture. I'm Hispanic, so I kind of maybe connect with it a little bit. I just think, it's a great, country. And, it is on my bucket list. Obviously, I wasn't really looking to go down there with all the potential, issues back in the day. But now there's potential for a huge change, a huge shift in Venezuela. Let's just talk for just 1 second about the oil. The oil in Venezuela is so interesting. The known underground full amount of crude oil is around 303 billion barrels. Right. So, it's my understanding that they have the most oil under their country compared to any other country in the world. Right. Now they have a sort of a heavier, thicker oil. We in the US have sort of the refineries to refine that oil, and really interesting what this might turn into for the Venezuelan people, and even as a benefit for US and for just the citizens of the US as well. Now, if we think about this, Venezuela was producing, I think only 787,000 barrels per year just recently. And I think that maybe 15 years ago, it was closer to 4 million barrels per year. So, I have to look at those dates, but I think that's correct. Maybe I am, maybe I'm off by a little bit. But think about what's going to happen if, let's say if everything goes well, right? Just everything goes well. There's always issues, there's always things that can happen. But let's say everything goes well and we get these oil companies in there, and let's say everything is up to snuff, right? Like everything is good. Like, people are actually doing the right moral things. There's no stealing, there's no whatever. And we get in there and we build out their, infrastructure, their oil rigs, modernize it, and we start producing more oil, right? And I'm not gonna go into too much of the mechanics of that and all that stuff, and the safety and ensuring there's no environmental issues and all that stuff. But if we just focus on just the oil and the profits and what that means for the people of Venezuela and for the US, it's incredible, right? Think about the infrastructure as far as like inside the country of Venezuela, what that's going to do for the infrastructure. What is that going to do for the schools? What is that going to do for the hospitals? What is that going to do just for life in general? What is that going to do for the currency for, that they use in Venezuela? What is the value? What's going to happen to that? What is it going to do for tourism, right? So let's say things really do start changing for the better there. What is going to happen in 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road? What's going to happen for the potential to invest in those Venezuelan companies now that are going to be popping up in, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years if things start changing the right way? And also the US companies that are going to be invited potentially in there as well. What does that mean, right? What opportunities will that bring for people that like to invest, right? What does that mean? What does that mean? I think there's a lot of potential there, right? And it's something I'm going to keep my eye on. I'm going to keep, looking into to see what is available. What can we invest in? And is this going to be the next, hot vacation spot? Is this going to be the Dubai of, South America? Is this going to just really change the lives of the people there, and then also the people in the surrounding countries as well? So just have a lot of thoughts. I'm really kind of excited about the potential just improvements for the people there, and then also for the US. I don't know what the split's going to be. I don't know if it's going to be like 20-80, 20% comes to US, 80% goes on there. I don't know. But think about what's going to happen if everything works out, and let's say just the price of gasoline in the US goes down by like 50 cents, or let's say $1. Like, what's going to happen to transportation costs? What's going to happen to the cost of food? What's going to happen, just think about, just everything is just going to be, I think, improved by a certain percentage as far as like inflation coming down, improvement in the cost of things. I don't know. I just think maybe short term this brings a lot of good potential to both countries. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about what can happen for the people of Venezuela. They really deserve a much better situation, and I'm looking forward to see what happens. And so anyways, welcome back to BuenoBrew. Again, I am so excited about this channel. There's so much to talk about. I'm gonna still talk about Venezuela. I'm gonna talk about Iran. There's a lot of stuff going on in Iran. There's a lot of stuff going on with Greenland, and then just the US in general with the markets. I want to talk about stocks and bonds and this and that, all these different things, and I hope I bring some value. Obviously, we're gonna talk about some cryptocurrency. We're gonna talk a little bit more about that. And so if you are new here, if you're still watching, go ahead and subscribe. There's gonna be a lot of videos coming out, a lot of interesting things. If there's anything you can think of that you want me to cover, no matter what it is, just let me know. Leave a comment. If it has something to do with finance, we're gonna talk about, like we have these venture capitalists. We're gonna start talking a little bit about my idea regarding micro venture capitalists, like these micro ventures, right? I have an idea when it comes to that. I'm really excited about it, and how we can potentially maybe revamp how we invest in some of these smaller startup companies. There's a lot of great AI companies that are coming, that are starting now, and how do we connect with these companies? Maybe I'll just start doing some more reviews on these companies and talking about how you can invest in what the potential returns are, right? There's so many different ways to invest in this country, stock market, real estate, businesses, silent partner, whatever the case is. There's just so many potential opportunities, right? And then not only that, but I also want to talk about something I'm looking into also, is how to, really make money while you're sleeping or while you're at work. One of my goals is to essentially find some extra financial freedom while I'm in medical school, right? While I'm actively in medical school. So I talked a little bit about this in the beginning, but I'm going to 5th semester, and I really only have 2 years, after that, or a year and a half, year and change, to graduate and become an ER doctor. I worked really, really hard, jumped through a lot of hoops and obstacles just to get in the first, med school, and then a lot of stuff happened with COVID, so on and so forth. And now I'm given the opportunity to go back to med school. It's a different med school, but I get to finish in 2 years and then hopefully become an ER doctor. But a lot of these students, and not a lot, but a certain amount of students, they do feel the financial strain. And I just want to make sure that, I'm doing things behind the scenes that provide me the opportunity to just focus on school, focus on YouTube, and a couple other fun hobbies. And I'm not stressed out thinking about like, oh man, finances. And there's a reason for that. And we're going to talk about that in another video. It's another exciting thing that's happened, but I really have to make sure, that the finances are on point, because this is really important, and we'll talk about it in another video. Anyways, I've rambled enough. I gotta go pick up a couple other things and then go home, get back to all the stuff that I'm doing. But I'm excited. Welcome to BuenoBrew, and we're gonna be talking a lot more here real soon. I hope you all have a wonderful new year. It's January 10th. Man, let's go after it. Let's go make some chavo. Let's make it happen. That's it. Adios, amigo.